What is up, everyone? Wacky here, welcoming you back for the next draft league we are doing, the EDC, and we are in the bottom div, the spatial div. And I guess going into this, I should mention I was 12th pick overall, so of course, again, I didn't really get anything broken. I swear to God, I'm never gonna get like Pulp or like Zamazenta before they get banned from leagues, but we'll be happy with our like Mega Scissors and our Tapu Koko round 1 picks, stuff like that. But I'm not gonna complain because the other time I was first pick, I totally missed out on drafting Zamazenta and Dragapult, so it's kind of my fault, but 12th pick still isn't even like that bad. It's kind of close to Wheel, so at least like the second round pick is like decent compared to like the people that picked first round. So yeah, before getting into this team in particular, I do want to mention that I used to have a Shaman and a Volcanion. I had like 3 others, like a Surfetched or something like that, and an Alolan Muck, but I didn't bring them to the first match after I made the trades for Zarude and Salazzle and Pissimian Hot Air Bowler. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that we used to have them and they did pretty well in week 1. I guess we'll see what they did. But getting into it, we have Mega Scissor, who I think this is like my 3rd time drafting this thing. I don't know why. I just think this is such a good mon because it has that base 150 attack with Technician, Bullet Punch, Bug Bite, Knockoff, Dual Wing Beat, U-Turn, Roost, Defog. It does basically like everything you want from it, and it has like other utility that you could put on it if you absolutely have to. And I think its attack is high enough where you don't really have to even invest in it, and you can invest in like its Spidef. It has enough defense to take like all the hits you need it to, unless it's like a super strong mon like Band Conk or something, in which case you'd probably run defensively, even though it gets Fire Punch anyways, but like, you know what I mean. It's good enough where it could just run at max HP, max Spidef most weeks, and then run like pretty much the same moveset. It's just so good at what it does, and that's kind of the reason why I've drafted it, because at this point, I think I am pretty much used to the mon. Anyways, our next pick is Zapdos, and what Zapdos offered, well, was a really good mon with Scissor, because as a Steel type, Scissor doesn't wall flying, so having a really good electric type paired with this, a really bulky electric, which is pretty hard to come by actually, I decided to get Zapdos, and as well as I think a really good Defogger and a really good Pivoter with Mega Scissor. I've seen Mega Scissor Zapdos quite a bit now actually. Honestly, I think Moltres could be a better pairing with Mega Scissor, but because Moltres is pretty much the best counter to Scissor, but I also think Zapdos is a better counter to Moltres itself. So I kind of like this pairing. And other than that, it's just kind of bulky. It can do like throat spray shenanigans now with Metal Sound. I think it's going to be really fun. Now in round 3, I picked up Latios because it was there basically. I wanted Latios originally because I wanted a Wish Passer in case I didn't get a good fairy, and at this point a lot of the good fairies were actually going. Stuff like Togekiss and Sylveon I think were gone, and even though actually I think Togekiss was there, but I didn't really want to double on flying types so early. I'm pretty known to get screwed when it comes to drafts, so I didn't really want to double up on typings yet and just make my team like as strong as I possibly could. And what Latios offers is a really good special breaker in case Zapdos doesn't want to run speed and special attack. Latios can do those, and it's still bulky. It only differs by like 10 defenses with Latios or something. Actually, no, it's like attack and defense are swapped, and special attack and split up are swapped, which honestly isn't like the biggest deal. It just means Latios does more damage and takes like 10% more. But yeah, I think it's still a really good pick. And actually, hang on, I need to put my computer on the charger. Okay. So our next pick is Zarude, which is actually a trade, and I actually kind of figured Zarude did a lot better with this team because of the massive amount of pivoting I have with my first, like, with my top 6 in Pistimian. And even, like, Slurpuff and Salazzle are decent with them. But, I end up trading away a Alolan Muck. So having a Dark type I thought was pretty necessary, even though I have a good normal type anyways for Ghosts, but Zarude fit pretty well with its speed tier. It's a good physical breaker in case I don't really use perk to break things, or if I don't bring Pistimian, and other than that, it's really just Mega Scissors. So yeah, I think it's really good for the team. It spams like Darkest Lariat. It has Power Whip, Jungle Healing, which is basically a Refresh and a Life Dew at the same time. It has access to U-Turn and Close Combat. It has like basically all the coverage you need it to have, I would think. And I just realized I have Double Monkey. I have Pistimian and Zarude. If only it was like Infernape, which is like the actual Double Monkey core, but you know. We don't need Infernape. We have Swampert, a better starter. And what Swampert adds to this team is access to another pivoter with Flip Turn, one of the best rockers in the game, one of the best typings in the game, actually I think the best typing, only weak to Grass, which like Scissor and Zapdos kind of laugh at. Actually my top 4 kind of laughs at Grass moves, even P2 doesn't care, and Salazzle to an extent. My whole team kind of just laughs off Grass types. Swampert, if it only had recovery, I would like it better. But honestly, it's tanky enough where it can take status moves like Toxic, and it doesn't even care because you're just going to be clicking Flip Turn most of the time anyways. And even if your opponent expects you to click Flip Turn at a certain point, you click Earthquake, and you kind of just get a kill. And that's kind of what I like about Swampert. As well as it's just really tanky. It has really good tanking stats, and it's really good at wanting to run tanky. I've seen it wall specially, like, really well. It can do a lot of things, and I can't wait to see what it does for a whole 9-week period? I don't remember if it was 9 weeks or 10. I think it was 9, I don't know. But our next pick is the Wall, Porygon 2. Running a Violite with Analytic. This thing is a monster. It hits so fucking hard with Analytic because you can underspeed to base like 45s, which, like, not everyone has mobs that are base 45 or below. So like Analytic boost plus a Violite is really scary. And it's really hard for people to deal with this thing because not a lot of people have good fighting types to break it. And not a lot of people have good knockoff users either. So I kind of figured Porygon 2 just fits into the team really well. It also has Teleport if it wants to quick teleport. Recover, try attack in case you want to hack people. It's just amazing. And it being in the middle of the team, it really is like a Gluemon. That and Swampert, they're both really good Gluemons. and they are like mostly the bulk on my team. Salazzle, which was originally Volcanion and Alolan Muk. I was pretty skeptical about Salazzle at first, but I really do like its speed tier, and I like that it could run modest because its speed tier is so weird. Like, a lot of people go from like 120 to like 105 or something like that, and like even then most of them don't really run. Well, I mean, 105 is pretty uncommon speed tier. I think, like, I can only think of like Mienshao, Zarude, and like Cryogonal, and I have Zarude, so I don't know. But the fact that Salazzle can just click Toxic on anything it wants to, unless it's behind a stub, is so good. And like, poisoning a Steel type rather than clicking Fire Blast is funny to me. And I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool mon. It has a really cool, unique typing. It's a really cool looking mon too. I can't wait to see what this thing does for me. Slurpuff is our fairy, and at that point, I was pretty set on Slurpuff once I grabbed Swampert, I think. I actually grabbed Swampert, I think, round 4. I just kind of grouped the mons by, like, points for whatever reason. But Slurpuff offers webs, which is really cool. I didn't really want Rabombi because I already had Scissor, and like, doubling on bugs is kind of weird. It's probably like the weirdest type to double up on. As you can see, I only doubled up on Poison, and that's only like Haunter and Salazzle, so I didn't really find it as big of a deal. Anyways, getting back to Slurpuff, it kind of has like Lely syndrome where its stats don't look super impressive, but it has the ability to run pretty tanky, and it's not as fast, but with Unburden it can be pretty fast, and it also has Belly Drum, and if you're not expecting a Slurpuff to Belly Drum sweep you, you kind of lose, so I like it for that aspect, and I think it's going to be really fun to use. Yeah. Pissimian is our Surfetch replacement. It's pretty similar to Surfetch, I think. It's just kind of weak compared to it because it doesn't really have an attack stat as high as Surfetch or Conkeldurr. But I think it's more consistent because it's a really good Scarfer. It's pretty tanky except on the special side, but even then it's like 160. I'm pretty sure it's like Urshifu Single Strike. Well, I don't know if the Urshifu is the same. I think so. It has like Urshifu stats, except for like its speed is lower, and its defense is like a little bit lower, and its attack is a little bit lower. It's kind of like rip-off. It's kind of like low budget Urshifu, I guess, with the stats. Yeah, with the top picks, it's really good at clicking U-turn and knockoff and close combat, and it even has gunk shot coverage, which, because a lot of fairy types get psychic coverage, and I think Salazzle and Haunter don't really want to switch in on too many fairies. I have Mega Scissor, but even then they also get fire coverage. So just having the extra option with Gunk Shot is really cool. I know for a fact it probably like 2 shots Clefable, because I know Sheer Force, Life Orb, Drudigan, Oko's Clefable, but it is Sheer Force boosted with a higher attack stat and Life Orb. But you know, I'm pretty sure it should still 2-shot Clefable, something like that. Our next pick is Haunter. I don't really have much to say other than I've used it before and I think it performed like okay. It was also Webb's team. I had a Galvantula with it, and with Slurpuff doing Webs, I think Haunter can do pretty good. A lot of people don't really have Gengar switch-ins, which is basically the same as Haunter, Haunter's just a little bit weaker, a little bit more frail, and a little bit slower. But I think with Web's Haunter is pretty scary. It doesn't have access to Nasty Plot, sadly. I honestly thought it did, but it doesn't. But I think having a good Ghost type with a good speed tier is okay. I only expect to bring it to like 3 or 4 games. Boldor is just kind of our 1 point on. I kind of figured that my only rocker being Swampert was kind of eh. I think Swampert is a really good rocker, but I think Boldor also offers a good rocker, a good mon to just click Toxic, a good mon to click Rock moves, and a good mon to just like soak up hits with a Violite. It's kind of just like a wall hitter. A good sack as well. I think overall it's like pretty bulky. You don't have to worry about it doing like sand stream stuff because it's only a Gigalith, but I think Boldor, while it's only going to come to like 2 games, I think it's okay, and it's also another good like flying type answer in case Zapdos can't really handle the flying type. Like for example, maybe like a Swellow, or I don't really know. I can't think of any on the top of my head. But we also have Swampert and P2 to do good flying types. So yeah, that is our draft. I'm actually really happy with this. I think that's probably the best draft I've ever had. Originally with the Alolan Muck, the Sirfetch'd, and the Shaman, I was ranked, I think, 11 out of 16. But I think with my trades, I'd probably be a lot higher. The only big problem is that Pissimians doesn't really come to that many games. Haunter doesn't either. So like having that gap between Zapdos and Scizor might be pretty big. But overall, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Because I think all of my mons do something. Except maybe Boldor, but like even as like a 10 mon team, if you ignore the Boldor, I think everyone has a place on this team, and everyone has a really important role. Except Latios. Latios kind of just like hits shit. You know, I think everyone's pretty good, and I'm excited to see what happens with this. And I will see you guys next week.